Now you have to give me.
I have to.
Now you have to give me permission because I made you the main host.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
so I've got to got it. Got it.
All right, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, yes, Catherine and I are both recording now. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to a very, very super exciting roundtable here. Very early for Stephanie and I here on the East Coast. It is 6:04 a.m. Thank God we had our time change this weekend because we are not dragging, because it's really like 7:04 to our body clocks right now. And I'm so happy to be joined with Stephanie from spiritual perspectives of our Great Awakening, an incredible researcher herself. Obviously, the beautiful Teymara. Everybody loves Teymara. She is one of the most loved guests because she's so bubbly and awesome. And of course, everybody knows Catherine. She is like our English counterpart over there and one of the most loved hosts of this what should we call this should we call it the Great Shit Show? I don't know. Great. This is it's like a Shakespeare.
Madam from over the pond. Madam from over the pond.
It's like a telenovela, you know. Down here in America, we always laugh about the Mexican soap operas because they're so dramatic, you know, those soap operas, and we call the telenovelas. I'm like, this is a damn telenovela. You know, when the military back channel said enjoy the show, we didn't know that we were actually part of the show. So how are you ladies this morning?
Well, I'm good this evening. So it's like at 10 o'clock in the evening here. So what time is it for you, Steph?
It's same thing as Brice. It's what, 6:04, 6:05?
And Catherine, what time?
I am very civilized. I'm just gone 11 o'clock in the morning UK time.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's cold.
I must say,
You can see how cold it is for me. I've got, even with my fire going, I've got my big jumper on. Yeah.
When I read for people in London or in England, I sort of look and I go, and they go, oh, such and such a time will be fine. And I check and I went, no, look, I'm happy to read for you at 7 o'clock at night here because I know that will be 9 a.m. there. You know, I said, we've got to be civilized because I said, if somebody said to me, I've got to have a reading at 6 o'clock in the morning, I would go, forget about it. Yeah. That's, I'm in bed asleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss Brice, what are we talking about?
Well, we were before we started filming, I know Catherine and I have kind of had this kind of the same type of issues this past weekend and week that we kind of, you know, we do similar channels in a lot of ways, so we kind of have the same. And one thing I wanted to talk about with you ladies, and hopefully the audience can comment in the comment section below and participate in this conversation. You know, a lot of us who are content creators, sorry, my dog's decided just to move his bed. So if y'all hear moving around, he's decided to redecorate the room at this hour. But anyway, a lot of people on this journey, what we're learning in this Great Awakening, this telenovela, is that we can't rely on someone to lead. We can elect someone to lead us, but we cannot rely on people to tell us what to do and give us all the answers. And what I find is happening is that we're so conditioned. In a lot of ways, it's just how we've been programmed. It's like I heard John Claude say it. It's like we're switching one boss for another boss.
That's
and
right.
Catherine and I are getting a lot of people emailing us, asking us questions about things they should do regarding circumstances that we can't give you answers on. And so I think one thing I want people to really look at, especially as we get close to the precipice, is you can ask people their opinion and their advice. That's what we're doing in these interviews, is seeing what other people have to say. But don't ask anybody to tell you what to do and to make these decisions for you. This is how we got stuck. This is how we got in the position we're in now, is because we gave our power away. You know, trust the doctors, trust the politicians, trust the clergy. Don't lean not on your understanding, but lean on this expert's understanding. You know, trust the science, which we know Catherine's a scientist, and I know she's probably pretty annoyed with the science they're presenting isn't really accurate, you know, studies. So yeah. we know this, we understand this cognitively, but we're still out of habit now looking for somebody else to be our new leader to replace what the deep state was doing. Does that make sense?
And I found this with the like as you know, it's like I've been doing Born to Be Frees here in Australia for 30 years. And that's been about teaching people about how we're programmed. And that once the programming goes in at that subconscious level, the subconscious mind has a power of 90%. So to try and work and change that, you're working with the conscious mind with a power of 10. But I'm finding, like, as I'm working my way through reading for the Esoteric Atlanta people and then onto the Janine and John Claude's, which are now all booked in, thank God, we got all of that done. I said to people, I said, if I allowed all of the bookings to come through, I'd be booked out until I was 90, you know. So like I just said, disconnect the payment portal, like, for God's sake. But it's like with the readings, I teach about what their programming patterning is, like the fears that they were programmed with and the negative beliefs, because we're not born with fear or negative beliefs. So then we have that whole energy as well, and especially if we come from a soul group that has like very, very strong intuition. So children will go, I don't like that man, or I don't like that lady, or I don't want to go there. And the parent not understanding where this is coming from will reprimand the child or ridicule the child or go, he's a nice man or she's a nice lady, or you're going there whether you like it or not. And the child will go like, no, he's not a nice man, she's not a nice lady, because they're picking up the energy. But while you've got a parent that is telling you that yes, they are, then we get the confusion. So I've been working a lot with people to get them back in contact with their knowing, their God-given knowing, their God-given warning mechanism. And I said, that is telling you the truth. And they said, but I thought that was fear. And I went, no. I said, fear makes sense. Your warning mechanism doesn't. You won't know why you are feeling what you're feeling, but you just know that you're feeling it. And if you are from an older soul group level, it's like and I call it like a neon sign that's flashing in your guts where you just know. And I find that as we go along with this journey, the more that people trust that gut feeling that they get, they will be in the right place at the right time, and they will know what to do. But we've been programmed to go to mum, to go to dad, to go to somebody else for the answers. So then you get that division as an adult where you get the gut feeling, this is what it's telling you, but you'll go to somebody else. What do you think? What do you think I should do? So when they come to me, I go, I don't know, wouldn't have a clue. What do you feel? Oh, well, I don't know. I go, well, in your gut, what do you feel? Well, I feel this. I go, great, there you are. There's your answer. And I do it with my grandson. He goes, I don't know, Nan. I mean, he's nearly 16. He's nearly 6 foot. Yeah, I don't know, Nan. And I go, well, if you were to know what it is, what would your answer be? And he will go, oh, well, blah. And I go, that's it. That's what you do. So I think, like if I can support anybody out there in the community working with people, I always find that that's the best way of getting people to take responsibility, because people do not want to take responsibility. They would rather hand it over to somebody else. And if what they hand over and what they're told doesn't work, then they can blame. They can blame that other person. And it's like, like it's time to stop. It's time to stop. It's time to bring it into self. It's time to take responsibility. It's time to listen to your gut, because that's your message that's coming from God. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's what I have to say.
I heard somebody say once, and I think as you were saying this, talking about your beautiful grandson, somebody said once, if you don't know what to do, flip a coin. Like,
Yep.
And before the coin hits the ground, you're going to know what side you want that coin to be on. Before it even hits the ground, you're going to know which direction. And I thought, that's beautiful. That's brilliant. Like, I don't know. Okay. And my boyfriend, so I've been getting a lot of, Catherine and I talked about this on Friday. I've been getting a lot of, ABUSC because apparently nothing happened in Dallas that was supposed to happen. Well, first of all, I didn't go to Dallas, and I never claimed. I mean, we're all we're all trying to find dates. We all want to know when the deadline is. And I think Janine said it best. She said, and I told Janine this, we are in a war right now. They don't
Yeah,
work on dates. They work on moves, on
yeah.
moves. And if somebody wants to go somewhere, then that's your decision. That's got nothing to do with anybody that owns a platform. We're all just, no, none of us, as far as I know, are part of this big group that's really doing the most cleanup right now. Y'all know who I'm talking about. We're just citizens. We're all just private citizens in our own respective countries, trying to communicate and have a community with everybody, with like-minded people who are working towards the same goal, you know. And so it's us as a humanity and our soul contract to be here now for this flip, but we also cannot control when that flip actually happens. At the end of the day, that's God's control. That's when the universe is going to pull that lever, you know. And we're just and I think too, the scary thing, I was thinking about this in the grocery store yesterday when I was like walking around, like looking at people, you know, and it was like, right now we're in such a unbelievable situation, because for our ancestors, for all of us sitting on this round table right now, for everybody watching, our ancestors, when something wasn't going right in their prospective countries, they could always go elsewhere. That's why Stephanie and I are Americans, right? That's the American story. Our European ancestors were like, screw this, we're going to go to this new world and not have a king and a queen, you know? But right now, we can't go anywhere. Where are we going to go? We don't know how to go off the planet yet. Yet. We can't, it's not like I can go to England, or Catherine can come to America, or Teymara can come here. We can go to Australia and things are going to be any better. We're all in the same boat right now. We have nowhere to go. And so that's forcing us in a way. If you look at this as if you flip it, because energy can't be, as Shanti said, and I love it because it's true, energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be changed. So if you look at the situation you're in and say, okay, I'm in this unique opportunity where I have to sit in my shit. I have to be uncomfortable, and I have to figure things out for myself, because I can't control what somebody else does. I have no control and I know most parents can probably say that as well. You have no control, because I've seen my sister in situations where her kid is having a meltdown in the middle of the freaking grocery store, and you just have to pick them up and leave because you can't control what that person is doing, right? And so if we stop blaming people for the fact that things haven't, trust me, I think that we all wish that it had already flipped by now, right? We all want that. None of us here want to be where we are right now. And I heard I think it was on your show with John Claude Catherine, where John Claude said, who knows, we might still be sitting here a year from now doing this, you know. we don't know, but we have to take this opportunity to stop blaming people and do what, you know. It's like that beautiful Michael Jackson song, The Man in the Mirror. If you want to change the world, change yourself. And I think that's what the white hats want us to figure out, is we have to change ourselves. Don't comply. That's what you can do.
Yeah, because what I'm noticing a lot, and I think, you know, and when I'm talking about noticing this, I am everyone saying I'm noticing it in myself as well. I'm not just saying it's everyone else and I'm perfect. But I work as a holistic health therapist for animals and their humans. And what I'm really realizing is we're still in a consciousness of the greater good, so to speak, where people think there's a solution to a problem. They want that magic pill. So whether it's on the medical side of things, even if they want to work holistically, they're like, what one thing can I change that's going to make everything going away? And what I think the beauty of us all being stuck and having to sit and we can't run away anymore. We can't escape. We can't distract ourselves with these other get up and go. So we're having to go in. And most of the time, the questions I get asked, I can see by the tone of the question that people do already know the answer, just like you were saying, Teymara, but it's that reassurance. So I think it's wonderful to have discussions with people, and people might go to you, Teymara, or to me, or to Stephanie, or to Brice, or to your friends, or whoever it might be, to open up a debate and have a discussion, because sometimes by verbalizing things, it gets things out and leads you onto a train of thinking to things in a different way. But I think, you know, we can't just think when a financial reset comes, everything's going to be okay. When they stop poisoning us in our food, in our water, our air, it's going to be okay. I think now people realize that there isn't such a thing as a quick fix. It's looking at all aspects of how you live your life and the day-to-day decisions you're making about your sleep, about where you live, about who you interact with, about what you eat, about what you drink, about, you know, what decisions you take, what you're spending your time doing. Because the biggest thing I get is, oh, well, I haven't got time to do that. And I'm like, well, quite frankly, with the amount of animals and the amount of work I've got, if I've got time to do it, anyone has, is what are you choosing to spend your time on? What are you choosing to prioritize in your life? And changing habits does take time. It takes an awareness that you need to change them. And it takes you know, consistent effort to realize when you're slipping into old patterns and take yourself into new ones. And I think it's wonderful to be with people that can support you through that process. But at the end of the day, as we're all saying, no one can do it but ourselves. We can get support in that process, but the decision has to be yours, not someone else's.
Yeah. One thing that I have done, it's like and I wrote this like on my Facebook page, I said, stop listening to people that are negative. So you may ring through to like a friend who may be awake, but they've got friends that they're talking to and their friends are negative, and then they're relaying that information to you. Oh, well, I was talking to so-and-so and, you know, and da-da-da-da. And I'm just going like, nah, gone. It's like, no. So it's saying no to people with all of this negative communication. And like I said to people quite a while ago, please stop sending me videos and information on the and on the children, because I know about this and I know about the children. You sending it and you keep on posting it, you are reinforcing that, the negative out there into people's mindsets. It should be putting out, we think about the children, we send love and we send healing. With this, we already know what this is about. Just don't keep on hammering it at people, because how do you think that we got to the situation and the state that we are in the world at the moment? The media has gone whack, 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 over and over and over and over again, talking about promoting all of the negative. So you're doing the same when you're actually posting negative out on your Facebook page or on Twitter or on Telegram. We know this, guys. We know it. So let's look at how we want the world to be and how we're going to focus. And it's the same here in Australia, in Melbourne. We were wrapped on Sunday. The very first gathering that we had in the beginning, 200 to 300 Victorians, Melbourneians turned up. Last Saturday, 25,000. 25,000. Now we know that there's been a shift and change, because there was none of those black bullies that were turning up and firing like rubber bullets. It's like they were gone. They weren't there. It's like, and we went, right, okay, something's turned around here. And the police just stood back and just viewed, just looked at us.
Spectators.
You know? Now in the media that night, it's like they were saying, oh, we will let you know in regard to the demonstration, like hello comet, yeah. It's like it was really just, you know, we were all there and we were all joined together. There was no anger, there was nothing. And we were just saying how we want things to be. We will let you know, we will be reporting how many arrests there were. And I thought, oh, you people, honestly, like over it. There was 25,000 people there, not the amount that you said. There were no arrests because the police were not arresting.
Yeah.
So, you know, but 25,000. So we went, right, we're doing it again on this Saturday. We're doing it the following Saturday. I mean, it's amazing. And then on Monday, it's like it was announced that we didn't have to wear masks outside anymore. but you could wear them, you had to wear them inside. So if you went into a store, into a cafe or whatever, you had to wear them. But outside, no, not necessary. There's all these people walking around with masks on, still got masks on, driving their cars. And I'm walking down the street and I'm looking at people walking toward me and I go, excuse me? And they've gone like, yes. And I said, do you know that you don't have to wear a mask outside anymore? Do you know that they've changed it? Yes. And I said, well, why are you wearing it? And I went, oh, Lordy be, honestly, yep. So I thought they have done such an incredible job of programming and putting the fear of God into people that it's like, and there was even kids today from school, walking out from school with masks on. I went, oh, look, I'm over it. I'm over it.
I was thinking, and Stephanie and I are around the same age. When we were young here in America, the news came on, you had like morning news that your parents would watch while they were getting you ready for school. And this was before cell phones. That's how old we are. There were young people watching. We didn't have cell phones or anything like that.
Darling, we had the radio.
Yeah.
I had the radio.
Yeah. I mean, but think about how lucky we were. And then you go all day and they had like 1 hour of news at night. And that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. And so it didn't have the tentacles of reach that it does now. Now you've got your phones where you're constantly have things going off on your phone, and they have these networks. I mean, CNN is based here in Atlanta, like the center is like literally a mile down the street from where I am, that they're constantly doing these 24-hour, it's literally like, if y'all have seen the movie Clockwork Orange, where they hold him and and it's just constant imagery. That's what they're doing to us on a very, it's part of mind control. It's absolutely.
They've been doing it for years and years and years. Because like 30 years ago when I started Born to Be Free, I go, you are being programmed. You've got this programming from your childhood. So we've got to transform it. We've got to get rid of the fears. We've got to get rid of the negative beliefs. But when you go out there into the world, just be aware that the programming continues. You've got it from your doctor. You've got it from your television. You've got it when you go, to do with your religion. You have to look at all of these different areas and you have to be aware and you have to take responsibility. And then I taught them about what fluoride was in water. I mean, they all sat there like stunned mullets. They went, oh no, it's in the water for our teeth. I went, oh my God, what Santa sleigh are you traveling on, people? This is what it is. There are two forms of fluoride. This one, it's got the name of this. This is fluoride that you find in vegetables, green vegetables. This name of fluoride, this is aluminium waste powder that they're dumping into our water systems to dumb us down. Yeah. Oh, Lordy be. Yes.
Well, even with that, like we're 4 women here. I know, you talk about like the pineal gland being kind of messed with by the fluoride, but also you're talking about like the whole gut instinct thing. Because my boyfriend is, and Teymara knows Todd. I think Todd has a little crush on Teymara because he's always like, give a virtual hug for me. He's like, I went the other night. He was like, we were going to film earlier, but Teymara had something we had to move to today. But we were laying in the bed. He was like, who are you talking to tomorrow? I was like, Teymara. He was like, oh, I just love her. Just tell her I just love her. I was like,
tell him I'm old enough to be his mother.
Well, Todd though, as a man, Todd is very not emotional, but he's very sensitive. Todd is. He's very empathic. Actually, I think Todd and your grandson probably have a lot in common because talking about, he said some things you said about Todd was like, oh yeah, that was how I was when I was a kid too. And Todd is really good at asking me whenever I'm like worried about something or I don't know which direction to go. He can read the I Ching. He knows, he's like Janine on tarot cards is Todd on the I Ching. He knows how to read it. We'll read it. But then at the end of the day, after he reads it, he'll like, well, what's your gut telling you? He always says that. What do you feel in your stomach you should do? And I know that as women, a lot of women aren't so lucky to have a man like that. Like I know I haven't in the past, but how many times, lady, have you felt something was off? You've said something and you've been told, oh, you're hormonal. Are you about to get
I'm
your
glad
period?
you brought that up, Bryce, because that's been probably one of my biggest things, like at the beginning of this whole thing, like in 2020, I was trying to tell everybody this is no big deal, the thing going around. And like I would tell the church, I would tell everybody, and everybody's like freaking out. And now I have, Catherine and Teymara, I'm just meeting you for the first time here, but Brice knows my entire family and my in-laws are all sound asleep. It's just me and my 14-year-old son who are wide awake. And my son was never a conformist, so it doesn't shock me there. He's high functioning autistic. And so, trying to work on following my intuition and having him follow his intuition has been like the biggest thing. And I remember, and I know I told you, Brice, I had a dream 6 months before this came out. And I told my pastor, and I said, it's bad. Do not get it. You need to tell everybody. And she goes, oh, no, I'm going to be one of the first people to get it because, I have medical issues. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to a different church because obviously you lack discernment. And I had told her, I keep having these dreams reoccur where I get warning dreams, and I've been like that since I was a teenager. And I listen to them because they've actually like happened. And again, Brice, I know you know this, but I was told, oh, well, we need to take a multiple choice test to see what your spiritual gifts are. No, I will figure out what my own spiritual gifts are. Thank you. And this has been like with me personally, it's been one of these things. I've come so far with following my gut and sorry, my dog is like yelling at me right now.
Okay.
I think she's like, Mom, I need to go outside.
No, she just said, you're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anytime I'm on the camera, she whines. She doesn't like it. She's like, I want you to pay attention to me. But it's been this huge, journey with me trying to figure out, when like connecting with that, many people call it God source or, Jesus Christ and so forth. So I've really been working on myself trying to connect that way and like keeping the fluoride out of my water. I filter my own water. I take a lot of supplements that will get rid of the stuff in the pineal.
Yeah.
And so it's so amazing now because I've grown very confident at listening to that small voice and knowing like, no, that's not right. I'm going to do it this way when everyone's like, well, Stephanie, why are you doing that? My feet are planted. Thank you. You're not going to sway me. Yeah. So it's been a journey, but I'm glad I'm learning it now.
Yeah. And you see, the more we do this, the more it gives other people permission to do the same. So the more we are fearless, the more we'll be teaching them to be fearless. And I looked at like a lot of people and I go, we were pioneering women. We were pioneering women. Yeah. We were women that, like, and I was talking to Brice about it at one point in time, years and years and years ago. I watched a documentary that was made in Canada called The Burning Years. And then I've recently looked it up and it's actually now called The Burning Times. And there were 3 centuries where they burnt us women. And, and I got a really strong gut feeling that we are the women from back then who were burnt. But all of the men that are standing up now were also women back then. And they've been incarnated in the male form in this lifetime. So it's called, you burnt us all back then because we had power. Well, have a guess what? We are now here and we've come to burn your butts from hell to breakfast.
It's so weird you said that. I texted Brice last night because I've always had so I live in Connecticut, so I'm not too far from Salem, Massachusetts, where the witch trials occurred. But I've always had a major fascination with the Salem witch trials, even though I was considered a Christian. And I started actually reading cards probably 3 months ago. So I asked the cards last night. I was just like, I wonder. And I asked, was I executed during that time? And I got 2 aces in the spread and everything. Plus the other cards kind of just like told a story and everything. So I texted Brice and I'm like, well, I think I'm back for vengeance here. Back for
I mean,
justice.
absolutely. It's called karma with a vengeance.
Yes.
Well, let's
Yes.
look at that, because Catherine knows about this as well, because I've been doing, so you hear in America, and I'm pretty sure this is common in all the Western countries, because at the end of the day, regardless of what country you're from, if you're in the Western world, we have very similar cultural backgrounds. And I know here in America, we have this saying called an apple a day keeps the doctor away. However, if you study Ayurvedic like medicine, that's not true. If I eat a raw apple, I'll be sick because I'm a vata. You start looking at dispositions and energy matching the energy, the certain foods with certain people, holistic health, like certain medicines are not going to, it kind of goes down with finding your own energy. Well, so if you look at what the Salem witch trials or all these witch trials, these women that were accused of practicing witchcraft, for most of these women, what they were doing was herbal medicine. They knew how to read nature and to use what we use now as Ayurveda to figure out what kind of medication through the plant-based, not just plant-based eating, but plant-based medication as well. That's what these women were doing. Well, as Stephanie knows, and I'm going to pull back on going on the next video I do on voodoo, just because things are hectic right now. So we're just going to pull back a couple of weeks. In my study of voodoo, which I'm around down here in the deep South, that religion never scared me because it's everywhere down here in the deep South, and it never scared me. But I thought, I'm going to do a deep dive into this. Well, that's what they were doing as well. They were using herbal medicine to help people. And so what do we see right now happening? They want to give us a concoction that's not natural. But yet we have a concoction that is. And what are they doing? They're doing the same thing. It's the same script that's being replayed over and over and over and over again. We want to work with God, what God has provided. We want to work with the earth, what the earth provides for us, because we know the earth is a living thing as well. And we're in this symbiotic relationship with Mother Earth, but they want to destroy that because they don't want, does that make sense? And I know Catherine, she works a lot.
Like with Catherine, it's like you've got the strong Celtic energy over there. So
I work with this all the time. I work.
Fascinating.
I'm something called one of the things I do professionally is something called zoopharmacognosy, which is animals. And bear in mind, when we're talking about animals, humans are just a species of animal. So the same applies to us. And this is all about animals self-medicating. So going back to what you're saying, Brice, whether it's for food and making the right choices for what all of us as individuals need food-wise, which should normally be based on what's available in your environment as well, not from what's being shipped halfway around the world. But also the medicine, and one man's medicine is another man's poison, because we've got different constitutional types, we've got different inherited strengths and weaknesses, we've got different current acquired physical, mental, spiritual issues. So what's right for one? So what we go, taking it full circle back to what we were talking about at the beginning, when you learn to trust and listen to yourself, this also applies to how you medicate yourself, because there's never just one solution. So there's a Vedic herbalism, there's European herbalism, there's so many types, because wherever you were in the world, nature put everything that you needed at the fingertips. And we've always had that ability, and animals still have the ability. Where we go so wrong is we take animals out of being able to use that intuitive ability and make decisions for them. And invariably, that's where things start to go horribly wrong for them. So I think it's beautiful when all of these skills that we're all looking about learning to trust ourselves. How do you feel when you even pick up that apple? When I start working with people, it's you use all your senses, your smell, your touch, your feel, because different people have different senses that are stronger. And if, for example, you smell an essential oil and you don't like that smell, that's a very clear message that your body is saying that's not right for you now. So you can read a textbook and say, this herb's really good for Crohn's disease. But if your body's telling you differently, that overrides, because it will be a different herb that you need. So I think it all comes back to just this trust in ourselves. Yes, we educate ourselves to see what the choices are and to give us different tools and techniques. And then the ultimate test is, what are we feeling? What's our body telling us right here, right now?
Yeah, I do that. It's like, I'll just go, like, people will go like, well, what are you having to eat? I went, no, I don't want that. Don't want that. I feel like I'm going to have that, you know, and my daughter will go, you hardly eat anything, you know, woman. It's like, you know, you just hardly eat. I said, I eat because I'm hungry, and I eat what my body tells me to eat.
Yep.
So you never see me sitting down to like a large meal and sitting and having, I couldn't think of anything worse. Yeah. My whole of my relationship with food is very, very different, and it's organic. I'll go in and I'll walk in and I'll go, what have we got? Okay, this is what's in season. I'm going to have a mango. I'll buy a mango, because that's what my body just craves, that mango. Or it's like, I want to have peaches. Or I've got to have some organic almonds. So I'm just all the time just listening to what my body is telling me to have.
Ladies, I'll be right back. I'm going to bring my dog out. She's still whining at the door, so I'll be right back.
That's fine.
Okay.
That was fine. No, but I would, you know, it's so funny. I've had digestion issues my whole life, like horrible. Like at 6 months old, I was in Eggleston Children's Hospital because I couldn't keep anything down. And at 38, I now know, even before I started studying Ayurvedic medicine, because I would have such a bad reaction. It's you talking about the sense of smell. I can walk into a restaurant. My parents think it's the weirdest thing, and I can smell immediately if I'm going to have a reaction to the food or not. And it's the oil I'm smelling. I didn't know it's the oil I'm smelling that they're using, that I know if my stomach's going to hurt or not. And Teymara, it's so funny because of that, because of my weird, as I'm called by society, my weird eating. People think I have
join the club. Yes.
People have an eating disorder. People are like, oh, you haven't eaten. I'm like, no, I cannot. I will be sick for like 3 days. And I know that's an RH negative thing. I know it's a Vata thing, because Vata works very, very dry. I get all that. I know all that, but I'm fine. I feel like I'm the healthiest I've ever been in my life when I follow what my body is telling me to do. And down here in the South, you know, we have what we call soul food down here. It's called soul food, where it's deep fried, heavy meals, biscuits, fried vegetables. And that is how, like, my grandfather, who is no longer with us, he's like 6'4", big man from the mountains of Tennessee. And that was his way of showing you love, was to make you a big meal. And then if you didn't eat it, he would be concerned for your health because you weren't eating it. He saw people, you know, for my sister and I, we're pretty thin. And he would always be very concerned about us. My mom's family is very thin. And it was like, no, Granddad, we're fine, because we weren't plump. You know, he saw being plump as being healthy. And I don't know if that's something from growing or being born in the Great Depression. I don't know if it was just, you know, growing up in Appalachia. I have no idea, you know, but we like all the vegetables can be fried, and they're fried down here in the South. So, so I mean, think about that. So here in America, we have in a couple of weeks, we have Thanksgiving, which is my favorite holiday, because there's no gifts that you give people. It's just community. It's just getting together with family and having a meal. So you have these huge feasts that you have for Thanksgiving, huge. And then, like, not even 3 weeks later, you have Christmas.
Christmas. Yep.
And then people in January, that's when they're sick.
Yeah. We do, like, for Christmas here with me, it's like I have the vegetables, and then I'll have fruit. I'll always take a big bowl of organic fruit salad.
Yeah.
So, like, I have the veggies, and then I'll have a little bowl of the fruit salad, and they'll look at me, and my nickname's Min, and they go, aren't you eating, Min? I go, yeah, I'm fine. I've eaten. But it's like, but they'd look at, you know, my plate, and they go, is that all you're eating? I go, yeah, that's all I'm eating. They go, oh dear. You know, but and they're eating all of this food, and they're combining like starches with proteins and sugars, and I go, oh dearie me.
It's a gorge
Yeah,
fest. It's a gorge fest.
yeah. And when I first went to America, I'd be going to restaurants and I'd go, um, this is big.
Yeah, we're the
I couldn't believe it. When I went to
Yeah,
America,
like
never
I've
traveled.
asked for, yeah, I've asked for an entree size, and they go, that is an entree size. And I go, no, in Australia it's this. And they go, oh, you wanted such and such. Yeah, but even when they brought that, it was still too much food, and I would eat half of it, and then I'd go, could you just put that in a takeaway for me, please?
Yeah,
But you see these people, how it, they'd have this big entree of all of this food, and then they would have like their dessert on top of that, and I'd be sitting there going, oh, good heavens above.
yeah, it's even since somebody, even I think it was like maybe a year ago, somebody was comparing, he's probably around my age, mid to late 30s, even from the time I was a child to now, serving sizes have gotten bigger here in America at restaurants. And it's all about, it's all like how much bang for your buck can you get? It's that it's, the capitalism, like come to us, we'll give you more for your money, and but people, and you're right, like if you're full, stop eating, take the rest to go. You can take the rest to go. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
It's like it's the huge big meals, and then they get fat, and then what they're doing, they're then feeding the dietary sort of like train. So we're all going to go on diets, and now we've got to have lap band surgery because in the foods they've got all sorts of SHIT that has people become addicted to it. So, and they just get bigger and bigger. So lap band surgery, and now we've got these diet pills, and now we've got this diet and that diet and some other diet. Oh, and have a guess what? We've got sugar-free. We've got the sugar-free Coke. Oh, flavored with what? What's the sweetness? Oh, aspartame. Aspartame that actually coats your brain cells with white coating. And whatever else aspartame, it's like, oh my God, only in America. But then
I told you this
out all around the world. And of course, we know what's in McDonald's. We're very aware what's in McDonald's, yes.
I've told you this, Teymara, but I know I haven't told Stephanie and Catherine because we've talked about this before. So I was born in 1983, the beginning of 1983. So long, long time ago. And they didn't know. I mean, well, they knew, but they didn't know. And when I said, as I was a baby, I had a really hard time digesting things. My digestive system was bad from the moment I was born. And so my mother, with my bottle, I had a hard time with juices. I couldn't drink juices. She only breastfed me for like a week before she dried up. So I was immediately put on formula, and she went to the doctor and she asked my pediatrician, every time I give her apple juice or any of these juices, she throws up. What do I give her? Do you know what he told my mother to put in my bottle? Diet Coke.
Oh, Diet Coke.
Oh my God.
Diet Coke was one of my first words. Diet Coke was one of the first things I learned how to say, because that's what they would put in my bottle.
Oh my God.
But isn't it
That's
interesting
awful.
how we were talking earlier about the subconscious sort of mind, and how all of us, regardless of which generation we're in, right from birth, have been sort of put into this fear mode in terms of this constant chronic fear, ongoing fear. And as a survival mechanism, obviously food and being able to feed ourselves is really high up the survival hierarchy. So if even at a subconscious level you're in a constant level of stress and fear, you are going to go to food as one of those mechanisms. Because going back into, as you were saying at the beginning, Teymara, 90% of our brain is by our subconscious. You've got shelter, you've got water, you've got food, and if anything is causing you chronic stress, that's where you're going to go to. You're going to start hoarding things, and you're going to start overeating because your subconscious mind is telling you there could be lack coming. You look at wild animals in the wild, there's seasons when they're meant to be really fat, and then they go through the winter season and they're lucky to survive it because they can't get it. But unfortunately, most of us have got a lifestyle where we then, if our bodies are telling us, like at this time of the year in the UK, we're in autumn, going into winter. So normally our bodies would be saying, eat, 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 to, you know, get those immune boosting foods in, get yourself a layer of fat before the winter. But then, of course, if we don't lose it over the winter, you're in trouble and you've messed up all your hormonal balance. So it's very cleverly controlled. You can see why people fall into this cycle, because they know where to hit you, where it's going to have lasting effects.
Well, I had that as a child. I was an emotional eater, you know, and it's like, and I was fat as a child, but it's like, instead of getting the love from my mum, I got food. I just got food. So it's like, so whenever I go into an emotionally sort of like charged situation, or like any of the fear energy that I used to have would come up, I'd just immediately go to food. I'd go to food. I'd go to food. Yeah. It's like, and then that then developed into an eating disorder when my mother did a huge rejection of me when my first marriage broke up. So it's fascinating. So I'm always working with people in regard to the connection back to the parent. And it's not about blaming the parent, because my mother did the best that she knew how, because she was dysfunctional emotionally herself. And so was my dad. So the food was the comfort thing. But then there was this whole thing about what they expected of me. And if I didn't get, you know, like first prize with this or great marks at school, it's like, oh, this is not good. This is a big disappointment. But the thing is, with me, instead of turning around and trying to excel to get their love and approval, I just failed. I just kept on going. I went, you know, like, well, if my best is not good enough, well then, you know, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. So I just continued on just doing my own thing. But yeah, that connection to the food, like, is like very much. And then that's why I've worked with people with eating disorders that are emotional. They are emotional eaters, because it comes from that subconscious patterning. So it's got to be broken. And when you break that, then you have a healthy relationship with food. It's so like, yeah, like it's fascinating.
Any type of addiction or any type of comfort or crutch we lean on, regardless of whether it's food, or I know, Stephen, we've talked about this, or drugs or alcohol or whatever it is. And it's just depending on your patterning of what you're going to fall to. And I know for food, that's probably harder, because you need food, you have to eat. But it's also interesting. I when you were talking about, Catherine, about our natural bodies and what our bodies kind of intuitively do through certain cycles of the year to keep us at our healthiest. So, you know, in my off of YouTube, when I'm working with people in the yoga shala, there was a time I read this article, because I'll get people coming in a lot who do have issues. And even though yoga, the type of yoga we practice is so hard on the body, people do tend to lose a lot of weight doing it. But we'll have people come in who have issues with that and have done all this cardio. They've been long distance runners, and they're swollen, their joints are swollen, their body hurts. Well, there was an article, so I'm always reading stuff and trying to figure out more about the body, that was written a couple of years ago that I thought was fascinating. So for people who do a lot of cardio or a lot of exercise like CrossFit, that's really hard on the body, or running long distance, that's really hard on the joints in the body, what your body is registering is that you're in a war, that you're fighting in a war. And that's why you swell. That's why you have a hard time losing weight, because what comes after war most of the time is famine. And so your body's exerting a lot of calorie, a lot of energy, but it's also trying to hold on to things because it thinks that you are literally in a physical battle right now, because of what the amount of hardship you're putting on your body in these exercises. So just knowing that the body has the ability to recognize patterning within yourself and then respond to it accordingly to keep you alive is amazing. And so if your body can do that, if you imagine what would happen if you started using your own discernment and listening to your own gut.
Yeah.
So
I come from the medical background, Teymara and Catherine. So one of the things I try to tell people too is I've suffered with a eating addiction myself. And what I noticed is I've always been in fight or flight mode. And when your adrenal glands are constantly running that adrenaline, what actually happens is it takes a toll on your blood sugar too. So what would happen is after every panic attack I had, because I had severe anxiety, I would actually end up getting hypoglycemic. And I didn't put the two and two together until I was in the medical field. And, I did, ask a doctor and whatnot, is this what's happening? And he said, yes, it triggers it. So when people are constantly in that fear mode, what constantly will happen is that it's going to dysregulate your blood sugar and you're going to constantly be hungry. It's like it all is connected. So.
Yeah. That's why, like with it's like on my website, it's like, and I've made it the wholesale price, but there is a recording that you can download that I made 28 years ago for Born to Be Free people, to keep you clear of all of the negative emotions. Fear, anger, hurt, sadness, guilt, resentment, worry, frustration, shame, envy, jealousy, bitterness, and pain, and replacing them at the subconscious level with all of the positive. So like, and the bitterness, it's like it's replaced with sweetness of life. You're being replaced with sweetness of life at the subconscious level. Your fear, courage. It's like it's like really, really interesting. And I listen to it myself to this very day. I just go, right, stick it on, clear. Yep, great. And then off out we go. And you can do that for little ones. So your child, it's like, I don't know if your child is open to listening to stuff on, audio. If not, just let me know. If they would rather listen to a CD, let me know and I'll just shoot it over to you,
Oh, okay.
Won't cost you anything. Just, just for your child, to keep them in that really mellow energy state.
And I think,
sorry, carry on, Steph.
Okay. One of the biggest things too that I've learned personally myself, in that, with other people too, is keeping healthy boundaries is a big part of that. So whether it's turning off the MSM, whether, like for me, I had to actually distance myself from certain family members temporarily until they wake up, but their vibration level, if you want to call it that, had such an effect on me that I couldn't focus on what was important and prioritize this. So I had to distance myself completely, and they do not understand it, but I'm healthier in the long run. My adrenal glands are constantly, producing that adrenaline. So in turn, I'm mentally and spiritually and physically healthier. But having good boundaries is so important. And like being an empath, because I'm an empath, it's so hard to do that. But once you like get into the rhythm of, developing those healthy boundaries, it becomes easier.
Because we're basically a program to be nice. I used to say at seminars, it's like, don't ever call me nice, because if you do, I'll throw up all over you. I have no interest in being called nice. It's like, you can call me compassionate, and you can call me caring, but nice, like, no, because what does nice say? You can be controlled, you can be manipulated, because you want to be a nice person, because you want people to like you. And it's like, and I just say to people, I don't care if people don't like me. It's like, it's not my problem. And the majority of time when people go, I don't like you, it's based on their judgment. And where did they learn their judgment from? It's not even their judgment. It's what they've learned. So they're not even judging you from themselves. And we did a beauty the other day, and I sort of like mentioned, I put it to Brice, and I said, who do we think this is? It's like, eagles don't give a fig if turkeys don't like them.
I saw that on your Telegram. I laughed.
And I just said to her, who's this? It's like, it would be a person by the name, whose name starts with T, like, and it ends with P, and in the middle is like, RUM. It's like, he doesn't care, right? He's an eagle, and he's out there and he's flying, and there's all of these turkeys that don't like him, who want to destroy him. He goes, whatever.
See you later. Take off. That's absolutely. And I was thinking about that too. It's interesting because Catherine, I think it was your last episode with John Claude, where we laughed about being here, still doing these roundtables this time next year because we're still in war. And I have to say, like, for the Americans that are watching, and I was thinking about this. I was like, okay, so we are the only country in the Western world left that legally has pow pow, and I know that the minute that they try to take that away is when we're in the real danger zone, right? Because we need, and I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was this woman named Swally. I think that was the pseudonym she was using, the pseudonym Swally. She was a whistleblower for the other side of this, for the other team. And this was like Todd knew about her. Todd listened to her back in like the early 2000s. Now it's like, oh crap, people thought she was crazy, but now we know she was telling us the truth. And she said, and this was like 20 years ago, that the United States of America for this group was the Wild West, because they had control over every powerful country except the United States, that they would keep trying to catch the United States, but it's like sand in their hands that would just fall out of their hands. And there was two main reasons why. Our Constitution, because our Constitution is one that's written to control the government, not the people. And it within the Constitution, the Second Amendment. So the people have the right to, and now we know why. Now we're seeing why our forefathers gave us that right to protect ourselves. We understand that now. And so that was the reason why they had a hard time just getting a hold of America. And we saw General Flynn say, like, if America falls, the world falls. And I think that's, I was thinking about that with you and JC, because these have not been really messed with at all. Like they'll talk about it, but nothing crazy. I mean, we have two here, they haven't actually taken a big stride in trying to disarm us. And I was thinking like, well, if we're still, and I'm actually really proud of the Americans, because we do have the right in our Constitution to use this to restructure. Let's just say it that way. That's in our Constitution. We have that right. But Americans have been very patient, have been trying to do things very peacefully to try to, change the course. I am very proud of the Americans, especially the ones that are not as awake as we are. I hate to even say that because that sounds condescending, but don't see things as we, that we see that this is all a movie or whatever. But in a year from now, I don't know if the powers that be would be that lucky, because you might see people actually trying to form those groups to restructure. I have to be careful what I say, guys, but I think it starts with an M, the M word.
We have those groups in Connecticut. We have several.
Oh, really?
And they all have been training.
Yeah, I know.
They're nearby.
In the Southwest, I've heard of some groups that have gotten together. I haven't heard of anything here in the Southeast, but I tell you, if they were to do something like that, that would only last an hour before it would be over, because I put my money on those people over the other side, because they know what they're doing with these things,
like I'm in a blue state, but in this area where I live in the state, it's Republican territory for the majority of it. So they're like in this portion of Connecticut, it's almost like living in the South, but up in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Because that's how.
I mean, and Southern women know how to do this, because in the Civil War, during the Civil War, I was telling Stephanie this, we were talking about that when the Union troops came down into the South and these women and children were left on these plantations, these houses, they were getting RAPED by the Union soldiers. So they learned from that. It's still from over almost 200 years ago. Women in the South are still taught how to do that to protect themselves. But yeah, I want to say, like, Wano Saban, he talks about how we need a near-death experience. We have to have this so that our DNA understands what happened. It's not just like we were told something happened and we changed course, because then we won't remember. And I don't know about you. I mean, Stephanie and I are both in the East Coast, so we're in one of the original 13 colonies. And I had two ancestors that fought in the American Revolution. And even though I have an ancestor that was born into the English royal family, my family always, both sides, we learned about those ancestors who fought in the American Revolution and what they did and how they basically gave us the freedom that we have. And that was really important to my parents, for us to understand that, like, how important it is and what a gift we had to have won that revolution, and to have the Constitution that we have, and how important that was, and what our ancestors did to get here, all that kind of stuff. Most Americans know what I'm talking about. Well, now they're trying to change the narrative with kids in schools that we should be ashamed of ourselves as Americans, That's not coming from a place of patriotism. That's coming from a place of wanting to control you and enslave you, to give up your rights so that you can be enslaved by the monarchy, which is the deep state, and I think a lot of Americans, I think we still have that in our DNA, because it's only been over what, 200, a little over 200 years. I know for human life that's a long period, but for your DNA, for your memory of that DNA, that's not that long. And so your DNA still remembers that fire. It was only like 3% of the colonists that actually went up against the English monarch. It was only like 3% of them that did that, and they won. So I do have to say, guys, like, if we sit back, like, that's still in our DNA. And I think that's why we're also seeing, I know this week it starts the big week of the walkout, right? Isn't this week the week that starts the walkout?
Yes.
Yep.
Which I'm so kind
Isn't
of
that today?
I think it starts today. I'm kind of nervous about that, but I'm also proud of these people. So I know you've heard us say this, but stock up, guys, because the shelves are literally going to be empty soon, because they're walking out. The blue collared workers, they're walking out.
Yep. When is London Bridge falling? Any idea?
Very soon.
I think very soon. I saw a magazine cover that I sent to you, Brice, and it was a comm, and it said something about the Queen is stepping down. It's rumored that she's stepping down. And then there was something in it that indicates a EMS, as in and it goes back to I can't say that.
I can bleep it out.
17th letter of the alphabet. Drop 34, where it talks about all of that stuff. So I saw that and I was like,
They also said about that place called Sandringham, and like, you won't see her walking around. So is she in Sandringham or Balmoral place? That, like, because of it's the big parks and people can walk there, it's like, don't expect to see that particular person out walking or riding. So it's like, no more on the horses and no more on the feet. So it's like,
I do still think, though, and going back to what we were talking about, the thing, I think Brice and I were talking before we came in, there's so much misinformation from all things. So I please, if one more person sends me one email saying, oh, but you need to watch this video because it tells you exactly what has happened. It's just your opinion. It's just it's fun to have these. I love having discussions like with you ladies here about I wonder what is. But the one thing we can be sure is everything we're being told isn't true. I've got people that are at that I know very well, that were at the COP26 conference. And we all know that as a species, there's probably as a human species, there's loads of bad decisions we've made in terms of what we've done to the planet and those on it. But we also know that the narrative of what they're trying to tell us with the environmental agenda isn't really what's happening at all. But there's so much misinformation, whether it's what happened at that concert in America and things. I think it's just, for me, I'm at a stage now where I'm taking a step back, having some fun conversations, but not believing one narrative and things like this, because every person you're going to speak to is going to have a different opinion about whether the Queen's alive or not. And then based on what they believe on that, they'll either dismiss or listen to whatever else that person said. But there's so many variations on a theme. I mean, we can't trust what we're seeing on video. We can't trust what we're seeing on photos, on recordings, because everything's made up, isn't it?
And a lot of the recordings and videos are old too. And I'm noticing, like, a lot of people are posting on Telegram. Okay, that's great and all, but that was posted 2 years ago. So how is that relevant to now? So I look at that, and I remember I had somebody send me a video with Charlie Ward and talking about the EBS going off to it said possibly tonight. And I looked at it and I'm like, wait a second, that is his blue wall. He's got a red wall now. Yeah. So like, I was like, yeah, this is from the beginning of the year. I think it happened right after, Mr. JB got, put into fake office.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I'm not
I-
claiming he's in office, he's in fake office.
You know, I
Okay.
keep getting this vision in my head. Like on this weekend, I kept getting this, like in my mind's eye, seeing this vision. I think it was God trying to like have a little bit of humor with me. You know how they tell us this is all a show. And I kept seeing myself standing with a big bowl of popcorn with like fire and just chaos all around me, just kind of eating it and just kind of like watching, just not even affected by everything around it. And it was like, just let the chaos be, because this is like the biggest WAR that we've ever been in, because it's a WAR for our souls and for humanity. Like I said in the beginning, we can't get off this planet. We don't know how to get off this planet. We're stuck here. So this is one of the most important. And so whatever is going on, whatever chaos is happening, some of it is orchestrated, some of it is probably backlash from some battle we didn't see. You know, we're just going to have to be within ourselves. And you said something brilliant, Catherine. I think it was on John Claude. Oh, by the way, FYI, I found a YouTube channel yesterday that's ripping my videos, Catherine's videos, Janine's videos, and John Claude's videos, and
I saw
releasing
that.
like they're new. So just FYI, if it's not on my channel, Catherine's channel, John Claude, or Janine, then don't trust the date, because I try to date everything. So FYI, guys, I only have Esoteric Atlanta on YouTube and on Rumble, and I know Catherine only has her. So
Yeah, because it's so annoying, because it's so annoying, because we're talking about not supporting the old defunct way of doing things. You know, we can vote every day with our money, with our words, with everything. And the only reason I said that about Queenie is, like, don't get me wrong, I love a little bit of like, because when you see some of these trigger points, we think, right, we're at a certain stage now. This is a marker where we're ready to go on. But then the other bits of me is saying, we don't need an announcement on Queenie to take back our power now and just which virtually everyone who's watching this is doing it. I know our audiences are all on point, absolutely. But we do also, I would quite like to see it announced. So, like, we joke, we say we know
because
it's
about what the next step is after that is announced, you know. And it's like, oh, please God, can you please announce it soon? And saying the word God, it's like I've just did like a short version of things for November that will be going out. And this month of November is the personal month vibration of God. So because we look at the Bible, what number is really strong in the Bible? 777777777. Yeah. So our month of November, it's like it's a 7, guys. It's a 7. So it's like, just hang on to your hat. Yeah.
Since July, I've been telling a lot of people. I had a couple friends, and they've been like saying, you know, Steph, I just can't do this anymore. Like, I'm about to throw in the towel, this and that. And I said, wait a second, hold up. I said, something you need to learn about God is his prophecies happen at the 11th hour. Well, what month are we in? The 11th month. And not saying that something's going to happen in November, but I find it interesting. I don't even know why I was saying that, because I understand that God's timing is not our own. So it's kind of like a saying I started saying. And then I thought to myself, wait a second, it's the 11th month. And I connect like those numbers. I do all like the numerology now and everything like that. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's always perfect too, that the timing. And I think I think it's kind of one of Saving keeps saying this, like, and if you set back, and as I was saying, this is a whole earth issue. This isn't about a country against a country. This is about us as earthlings, as humanity, standing together across the world, because this is about our planet. It's not anymore about our countries. It's about our freaking planet. It's our planet. It's our earth. and we're taking it back. And so this is so huge and monumental that I think that there is going to be such a shift in the spirit world as well, where people who aren't even spiritual or don't even have faith are going to have a shift happen within them, because they're all of a sudden going to connect to that reality as well. They're going to have no choice. And so if we think about the majesty of what is actually happening, and that's the word that comes to mind, is just the majesty of it all. Humanity, our fellow humans, I know we're ready for it, but everybody has to be at that point where they're willing and able to have that switch. And I know, Catherine, one thing you said with JC, which is like, oh my God, this is fucking brilliant. When you said this, you talked about tuning forks.
Yeah.
How when one tuning fork is at a high vibration, it's going to naturally pull the other tuning fork.
The other one.
It's just science.
Yeah.
So all you can do right now, and Michael Jackson told us, we know that he is wearing his smooth criminal white hat, right?
Yeah.
In the mirror. If you want to see change, if you want to see this flip, Janine said it best. We're not looking at dates. We're looking at moves. So if you want to see this move come faster, work on yourself.
Yeah. And it's like what I said to guys here in Australia, like in Melbourne, I just went, look at this. Go Melbourne. Go Melbourne. 25,000 of us.
Yes.
It's like,
it's
happening. It feels good. For me, it feels really, really good. And I think it feels that collectively, I don't know, I think we are in a really good place. I've noticed a shift in a lot of the conversations. I think I feel in a really good place, guys. I really do. I think, you know, from what I'm seeing, a couple of weeks ago, I wasn't saying that. And now I'm like, I really do. I feel excited. So when you said about like the bridge coming down, it just feels like we are really ready now to move on to this next thing, doesn't it?
Oh, we're waiting, you know, and I really, you know, like it's like, I'm not a great drinker of alcohol, but somebody gave me a 2009 bottle of champagne for one of my birthdays a couple of years ago. And it's like, and it sits in the cupboard. And I went, this is why it's still in the cupboard, because when this happens, it's like, boy, oh boy, that bottle of champagne is going to be cracked open, and whoever is around with my team, it's like, come on, girls, drinky poos, right?
We'll be with you for that. I'm going to have to go, ladies. I'm afraid I've got to go and see.
I know. I have to run too. I have another call to jump on as well. But I want to say this was so fun. I want to do this again, because I think this is so fun, because I want people watching to know we're just human beings like you are, guys. And I know I want to remind everybody, Teymara and I are going to actually be on Charlie Ward this Thursday together. So that's going to be exciting. The 11th.
The 11th of November.
How weird is that? 11/11.
Like hello, Comet. Yeah.
So I will be tomorrow. I'm about to hop on with Aquarius Rising Africa. Of course, once this release, I'll probably have already been on Aquarius Rising Africa. And then tomorrow I'm going to be back on with Jean-Claude and Janine as well. So, and I know Catherine and I, we've got probably some multiple videos coming in the works, as well as with Teymara and Stephanie. Teymara, I think we should do this again.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it.
Brice, when you're on with Janine and Jean-Claude, I didn't have an opportunity to ask them when I was on with them. Please, if you wouldn't mind asking Janine about the sperm banks.
Okay, I'll write that down.
Okay.
That's interesting.
I'll ask her.
The sperm banks that are owned by a very well-known family who wanted their DNA to continue. Yeah.
Interesting. I know, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So whoever donated their sperm, much of their sperm was actually thrown out.
Oh, you'll have to send me more on that through text.
I will.
Wow.
I will. Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, this is a telenovela. This is like the most interesting movie I've ever watched in my life. So,
oh my God.
All right, ladies. Well, I hope everyone's having a good day.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.